right. So you want me to do the intro thing? That's cool. All right then. Welcome. Let me get my intro up here. Um, I normally when I do an intro, I am going to tell you like who these people are, and I have to admit to you, I didn't know any of these people.
I was wondering if, okay, as I was watching this, I was like, does Karen know these people? Hey, before we introduce them, should we introduce ourselves?
Oh, right, yeah. Hi. Welcome to our virtual movie discussion. We're going to talk about the 2019 film A Call to Spy. I am one of your hosts. I am Dr. Karen Wisely. I teach history at TCC Northeast Campus, and
Hi, I'm Dr. Chloe Northrop. I am at the Connect campus and I also teach history.
all right. So our custom when doing one of these events is that I start with a little introduction where I read the log line or brief description of the movie, and then go over some of the main cast members and where you may have seen them before. So the log line for A Call to Spy. At the dawn of World War II, a desperate Winston Churchill orders his new spy agency to train women for covert operations. Together, these female agents help undermine the Nazi regime in France, leaving an unmistakable legacy in their wake. It stars, here we go, Sarah Megan Thomas as Virginia Hall. And honestly, she only has 11 acting credits on imdb.com, and it's really nothing that I've ever seen before. Um, Perhaps this is the start of big things for her, but probably not because she has nothing pending. There's nothing coming from her. But hey, I think she did a great job. Stana Katic as Vera Atkins. You may know her from playing Kate Beckett in Castle. I didn't know her from anything. Um, Radhika Apte as Noor. Um, you may know her if you watch a lot of Bollywood productions. I don't, and I didn't know her, but I thought she was really good in this one. I really did. And Linus Roach as Colonel Maurice Buckmaster. And here's the most experienced guy in the production, 68 credits on IMDb, but very few that I recognize. He seems familiar to me, but there wasn't really anything in his resume that was like, oh yeah, of course he's that guy. So it's a fairly new production movie. It was supposed to be released in 2019, and it did release in 2020. It's on Netflix here. It was released on Netflix here in the United States. I don't think it's still there, but that's where I saw it first when it came out in 2020, COVID, while I was at home for COVID, right? So I remember watching it then, and that's why I suggested it. But its running time is 2 hours and 3 minutes, which is pretty good, almost the perfect time for a movie. So it's very new. It's very unknown people who are acting in it, but I thought it was pretty good. What did you think?
I was pleasantly surprised because I too, when I first saw, I was like, I don't know any of these people. And honestly, the pic, the image of it, it was like kind of a cheesy looking in some ways, like just something about the way they're all like staring had like maybe like a 90s vibe. And I was like, what is this movie? And I was like, this kind of was like is this a made for TV movie? Like, what is this? And then once I started, I was like, and then I thought, is this real? So then of course I like paused and I'm Googling because I'm like, if this, because I've been watching it, I like want to know, are these stories real, or are they like, again, like a conglomerate? Did these things happen? So I Googled and it said pretty fairly historically accurate. So then I stopped because I was like, I don't want spoilers then at that point. But I thought everybody was going to just be great all the way through. And then I was very disappointed I hadn't seen spoilers because I was very upset then. So that was kind of for me, but I was super pleasantly surprised. And let me tell you, I have been telling everybody about this movie too. I'm like, you need to watch this movie called A Call to Spy. I'm like, I'm at swim lessons this morning telling the lady next to me, you've got to watch this movie. It's excellent. Because I really do think it's such an amazing story that is especially, and here, I'm just monopolizing here, but World War II spy books, especially women's spy books, are really popular fictional ones. And so there was one a few years ago by Kristen Hanna, who was an incredibly popular author amongst like American women. And it was supposed to be made into a movie, I think, with the Fanning sisters, Dakota and Elle Fanning, because it was about sisters,
Oh,
and
that
one
would
of
be
them was a
good.
spy. And so it was very, very, very popular book. And this kind of was like, but wait, this is real. Like, if you liked that book, you should definitely watch this movie then,
Mhm.
because it is like real stories then about what you enjoyed, maybe fictionalized. And I was surprised then that this movie maybe didn't get more traction. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was, if I'm not mistaken, and I didn't write it down, and I'm kicking myself right now, but I think that it won some awards in film festivals.
Okay.
Um, but I imagine I imagine that because of its relatively unknown cast, and even the woman who directed it is relatively unknown,
I
that
also
it,
looked her up.
yeah.
And did you see, wait, did she do Iron Jawed Angels too?
Did she? Oh
And
my
that's
god.
what made me go, what? Look at us with her. And I
Oh
feel like she
wow.
definitely then does these kind of films, bringing these really powerful stories. And Radium Girls, which was another really great story about women as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Um, yeah, I think that might have, though, something to do with it. And 2019 wasn't all that long ago. And so I think a lot of these smaller, lesser known films probably got pushed out of the way, because if you remember correctly, 2019 was pretty big in the superhero kind of genre, right? Isn't that when like Endgame and all of that stuff
Yeah.
came out? And so
And then, I
uh
mean, with COVID hitting, I feel like everyone,
yeah,
things got so weird with release dates and things
yeah,
like that too. And a lot of them weren't promoting, like, even if a studio picked it up, they weren't promoting it the same way. Everyone was watching, I mean, everyone got really into like Love is Blind and Tiger King during COVID. And I feel like things got weird for just like a bit. And like,
yeah,
we're still obviously seeing like the ramifications of that even years
yeah.
later now.
Things
But
things are still weird.
definitely, yeah, things are still kind of weird. But I do wonder about films like this that, especially were directed by women, were the really female-centric stories that they didn't maybe get more. But let me tell you, I'm promoting this out now, and I would love for more people to see it. And I'm glad we're discussing it today.
Yeah, yeah. Edinburgh International Film Festival in 2019, Santa Barbara International Film Festival in 2020, and something called the Whistler Film Festival, which I don't even know where that is, but
I think in
in
Canada,
it's okay.
Whistler,
So
Canada.
I think that, Edinburgh, obviously in Scotland, that it's very obviously a British film. That might have something to do with it too. Not receiving quite as much fanfare over here. And like I said, they did get it to Netflix pretty quickly in 2020, because I can remember watching it during during my, I'm gonna watch 500 films a year while I was sitting at home. This was one of them that I watched, and I really enjoyed it, and I do enjoy that it is pretty accurate from all accounts. It is obviously dramatized, so it isn't, exactly accurate, but it's based on the true stories that happen. And how many of us even knew that there were women spies working in World War II over there? I didn't. I
Again, I think if you're big into these, like the Kristen Hanna book was called The Nightingale, by the way, and there's a really popular trope right now with like novels. It's World War II, but particularly like women spy. And so I think that that's what got me, is that this is like, these are true, and yet the novels are really, really popular, bestsellers, like getting a lot of attention. And yet this one, that's what I thought was interesting, this like juxtaposition between like an independent film that was produced by a woman didn't get that same kind of reception. But I think that like just stories about women in World War II are becoming like, I think are becoming more visible. The Code Breakers was a pretty popular book in the last few years, and I'm waiting for my movie about like the wasps. Where are they?
I don't know. Maybe we need to, get on the horn with it's Texas, or yeah, Texas Women's University, because they have the whole collection and everything over
Right.
there. Who's working on that? I don't know. But I will say that there. All right. So if we want to dig down in a little bit deeper in this, I do have something that while I was watching it, it was bothering me a lot, and um it bothers me on a couple of different levels. And I'll say that yeah, Andrew, there will be a survey. That first of all, spies are generally supposed to be kind of the everyman, so that they slip in and they don't stand out, and they all of this. You send an American woman with a wooden leg to be a spy. Does that not stand out to you? I mean, that's like number one. Number two, a a a Indian woman in
Yeah.
France. Did that not stand out? I mean, it seems like, wow, are we setting these people up to for here?
Right. But I think one of the interesting parts of having the character of Noor is bringing out really the multiculturalism that was present
Yeah,
in Europe. And a lot of times I think we only see like European centric stories, and to show
yeah,
that, I mean, France has have an empire, France has had,
yeah,
so people,
yeah,
I think a lot of times we don't see those in videos. So we forget
yeah,
how multicultural it is. So I was kind of wondering when I was watching this, is that my own bias coming through, perhaps, that I
yeah,
think that she might have stood out in a way that maybe she didn't. And that was
yeah.
kind of, and I actually wondered
And
that. And
yeah,
yeah.
and that was the other part of it. Like, part of it was like, oh my gosh, you're sending these people over who are going to stick out like a sore thumb. But the other part is, I mean, they're both really freaking good at their jobs. So
Mhm.
how sad would it be if they wouldn't have been able to do what they're really, really good at, just because that they didn't fit the, like the demographic that we are expecting. And so I kind of chewed on that in both ways. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, but I mean, they were incredibly good. But in the middle part, where that Virginia chick had kind of been made. I'm sorry I said chick, but this is me just talking. And she'd kind of been made, and so they're like, oh, we got to pull you and cool things off, and they're like, nah, just put a wig on her. And it's like, guys, she has a wooden leg. So are we to believe that these people were like, oh, there was a brown-headed lady with a wooden leg here the other day, but this lady's blonde now, so it must be completely different, I'm just like, really, guys? Is that super smart? I don't know.
I did
Um,
wonder about that too. But also, it was something that made me wonder too about I think, like the invisible, not the invisibility perhaps, but perhaps people with disabilities or different abilities, perhaps people just think that they couldn't do certain things. And so you get maybe away with it
yeah,
because someone just would look at somebody who had a wooden leg and just assume that they couldn't have anything because of that disability that she did have.
yeah.
And it made me
Well,
wonder about that too. Did that
that's
actually help her as a spy?
I mean, that's certainly what the American diplomatic forces thought, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
She was just she was just dismissed out of hand by them, and then this group is like, you're really savvy, and you seem like you'd be really good at this. So I guess it's a good thing this group existed to allow these women to contribute in ways that were so important, and they were not getting the opportunity beforehand, that's for sure. So yes, that is pretty amazing. um the the other thing is
And I agree. I agree with that. When I saw that she applied again, I was like, good grief. Like, it reminded me, if you joined us for the Tuskegee Airmen, and that they did all of that during the war and then came home, and many of them applied then to be commercial pilots, and then were told, yeah, no, we don't allow people of color to do that. And it's like, what? So it reminded me of these kind of stories that we're hearing, these people who do these incredible things during war, and then they're like, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
yeah,
thanks
you're
for your service.
amazing, but sit down now. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that, Brianna. That was a very upsetting part as well.
Yeah. Yes, very upsetting. Um, I don't know what else stood out to you. What kind of things do you want to talk about here? I think that there was a lot of like I at first I thought it was sexism, but that not as much with Buckman, and he actually did kind of listen to the women, that I can't remember anybody's name.
Vera.
That's Vera. There you go. That he actually listened to her and all of that, and I thought, okay, maybe he isn't sexist. But then whenever Noor had been captured and they sent a message and that guy brought it in and he's like, but it's perfect, so I think maybe, that this isn't right. And he's like, oh, come on, and just took it. And all of those people were killed, or captured. It was frustrating to see that we're not listening to people. And that was something that, maybe it's just, the way I feel in my everyday life or whatever, but it resonated with me because that is, it's like, people bring you this information and people have these insights. And if you don't listen to them just because of who they are, who it comes from, you're doing a disservice to your organization, I would say.
Yeah. I was actually prepared for him to hit on Vera at some point. And I was kind of like, I was bracing myself for that, or that they were going to be having like some kind of like relation. And I was like,
Horrid
please
affair. Yeah.
don't. And then when it never came about, I was so pleasantly surprised. I don't know. I just think or you know what I'm saying? These
Mhm.
stories about someone in a secretary dash, yet invaluable kind of
Mhm.
person in his office, and yet something's going to happen that way. And I was like, oh, I don't want this, because I really like her, and I really liked him too, but except for that part, with him ignoring. So I mean, that was incredibly upsetting. But I did kind of think that there would be something like icky going on to kind of like, again, highlight that part of these kind of subordinate kind of relationships, and just like, ugh. And then when it didn't happen, I thought, oh, thank goodness. And then I was wondering, because it was a female director, do we think that maybe we steered away from perhaps fictionalizing or adding those kind of, because there was no sex scenes in this entire movie. There wasn't at all.
Well, and maybe that's because it was a small production too, that they could afford to, like, their budget was so small that they didn't have to make a whole bunch of money to break even and all of that. So they didn't have to titillate people and get them, to come in by saying, oh, will they, won't they, or whatever. They're able to just tell the story without
Mhm.
without needing all of that extra. And I'm sure having a woman in charge, because but I think the lack of the Hollywood money behind
Yeah.
it
But
is
that's
probably.
great that we can
Mhm.
tell these stories maybe without needing that kind of, I don't know, the titillation part of it. I was incredibly just, it was lovely, because I thought like, okay, my 15-year-old niece now, she's on 15. And this
Oh
is
my
a movie
God.
I would watch with her. I mean, like, it's really sad. I mean, we didn't talk about the Noor scene yet, but that was incredibly sad. I got choked up in it for sure, because I did not know it was, I kind of was like, no, she's gonna survive. And so when I was very emotionally moved by it. I felt like it was really powerful, especially them going and telling her mother. I thought that was like a really beautiful thing to do. And it was very touching. And I thought, though, I could watch this movie with my niece. I mean, like, there's some intense parts, but it's not that kind of
Mhm.
things that make you kind of like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I enjoyed that there was that opportunity. And I think, and again, my grandma loves movies that are true stories. So I feel like I could like tell her about this and she could watch it and enjoy it too.
Yeah, it's definitely grandma safe, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting to contrast this movie with the next one that we're going to
Yeah.
do, because that one has a big Hollywood star, big Hollywood money behind it, and all of that. And I wonder if it will be a little bit more
Race,
lurid.
like,
Yeah,
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 lurid.
yeah.
Okay, Brianna has a comment here, and I think that is very interesting. They didn't trust Vera because she was Jewish. What did we think about that? I thought that that was a really important thing that they highlighted in this film, that she was suspect because she wasn't quote unquote British at the
Mhm.
beginning. She wasn't a citizen and stuff. So what did we think about that? And how did this highlight maybe the anti-Semitism outside? We often obviously think about Germany with that. And then I think that that gives other people a pass then during this time period. But this kind of shows that this was not isolated in Germany.
Right. Yeah. I think that too often that when we think about anti-Semitism, we don't really start to pay attention to it until it is violence and death. And maybe some of that is because of the scope and size of the Holocaust, that's what we are like. Our mind is conditioned to see that is purely anti-Semitism, but it doesn't. I told my classes this week. I said that, the Holocaust doesn't start with death camps. It ends with death camps, and the anti-Semitism uh, doesn't start with just beating people up and murdering them. It starts with this othering of them, of making them not trusting them, not thinking that they aren't good at this because or that you are good at this other thing because you are a Jew. And so it's I think it's important to keep reminding ourselves of that, and Britain was notorious about not accepting Jewish people, and that they do get a pass because no, they didn't put them in camps and gas them, so they aren't that bad. But it still is anti-Semitism. It still is, discrimination and prejudice, and that's on view in this movie. So
Mhm. And I think that was an important thing to kind of remind, especially for someone who was trying to work and was trying so hard and yet still facing this discrimination, afraid that people might find out, And I thought it was interesting that I thought that maybe everyone didn't know, and then when you found out her boss did know the whole time and trusted her and like wanted her involved still, but didn't exploit it in like a weird, gross way. I was like, that's. And then once I found out he knew, then I was like, oh gosh, is he gonna like, And I don't know why. I was just like waiting for something. I'm like,
you were waiting for him to
waiting.
be a creep, and he was.
Yes, and I just was like, I was so like disturbed and upset, and then it ended up being like, okay, it wasn't, and I'm like, what is this that I like? That's the baseline, Like if she's because she's a very attractive woman, and it was like, and she's just her and her mom. She didn't have. Now, did we ever find out if her lover friend was okay? I feel like that was like a storyline that just could have.
I
Because remember he was
don't.
missing.
Yeah, I don't think we ever found out.
No, okay, we just because I know it was how I was kind of waiting, like, did he come
And I
home?
know that is part of the reason why I thought, oh, something's gonna happen there. It's like, oh, he's away or whatever. And so yeah, I
And
mean, I was
especially when
right there.
she's like, go home to your wife. He's like, no, I'll stay here all the time. I was like, oh dear,
Oh
nothing
no.
good can happen.
Oh no.
Yes, Ronald. It's all based on real people from
Yeah.
and from World War II. So the three main female characters in this movie are all based very much on real life individuals, which, like I was saying, I had to look it up because some of the movies that we've seen are loosely historically based, but sometimes with these conglomerate characters and things. But these are all distinguishably like people who are like historical figures, and so that's kind of different for us. I mean, right? I think I mean, in Schindler's List, obviously they compiled certain characters together because there were so many, and just to make it kind of more coherent. And a lot of the things we've seen have done that, and I didn't yeah, need to. I know when they were I think in my mind and in my heart of hearts, I just really thought she might get home. And I mean, if she's in Dachau, not everybody dies in Dachau. You know, there are people survive Dachau, right? But
Yeah, there were.
You know, and I don't want to give this away because
Very, very small percentage.
well, I mean, there's some like American prisoners of war who do survive in Dachau because there's two different. There's like the prisoner of war camp too. So I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe she's right. I mean, there
Yeah.
are, but just to say, also again, I don't know if anybody's heard of the Kristen Hannah Nightingale, but they kind of they combine some of these stories together because at one point the spy character escapes in the mountains and then goes to Dachau or one of those. I can't remember exactly which one now, and dies in the concentration camp. And you don't know until like the end of the story that she did die. And so, yeah. Oh, I know. And that made me so sad with the mom waiting for her there. And like, and she had told her, please don't go, just stay here. And the family was like pacifist too.
Mm-hmm. And
I
she
thought it
felt
was,
like she had to go. Yeah.
yes, I thought it was really important to switch subjects here when Virginia went and killed that police officer. And she did it right like they trained her too. I was like, oh, there's the training coming out. I didn't know she had it in her, but she did.
I mean,
Talk
when
about
they were
character
when
development.
when they were showing her training, I definitely didn't think she had it in her, but she, I guess whenever
I
push
don't
comes to
think
shove,
Nora had it in her.
I
So,
don't think Nora would have been able to kill anybody. No, but
no, because I think being raised in that pacifist, it was just kind of a different. Where
yeah.
Virginia, like she had said, like I was raised hunted. I was raised, you know, so I think like just there's different kinds of like upbringing that came out in those moments for them. And by giving them the backstories, though, you could see some of that with them in a way. And I was very upset that Nora's friends, boyfriend or whatever, gave like that was just, I don't know. Like it's not worth you having extra food. And did you even get that extra food? Was it worth Nora's life? And I hope he never like had a settled meal again. I hope that it just like he had just indigestion for the rest of his life. And every time he ate, he just
Uh-huh.
was sick and
That
a
he
terrible
thought of her and that it
Yes,
just like, yeah.
I do too. I did too. Like it was just not okay. No way. And I hope he just but we did look up that the father, what's his name, who she knew he wasn't right. She knew something was wrong. And then lo and behold, he was bad. He was shady. And then he was executed. And I was like, oh, good riddance.
Yeah, good riddance to bad rubbish. Yes,
But you
yeah.
know, I've climbed a mountain before, not a big one, but like a New Mexico mountain, but still I did. And it was very difficult. I was just gonna say, like, I was very out of breath. I was not really happy with my life decisions. There's a lot I was questioning. And so when seeing her walking in the snow with that leg, I was like, my goodness, like here I do sometimes, like yesterday, I was like, oh, I have to drive in the rain, or something. And I was like, what do I have to complain about in the world, So, I mean, I do. I just made me like really like think about my own things. Oh, I hear you. Yes. But I hope she left him too. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
um,
she could have very well been taken in as well for doing that. Yeah, it is not an easy, no, it is not an easy thing, particularly with I mean, having just one leg. And I was just thinking about the pain of that prosthetic rubbing in certain ways.
yeah.
And I mean, I mean, I feel like nowadays there's a lot of different ways of having a different apparatus but
Oh
that did
yeah, that's
not.
not wooden because there's no give and there's no, yeah.
Oh,
And they have those like blades and thing that, yeah, offer you some kind of spring that
and
yeah,
all of that, and just seeing that, I thought, oh my goodness,
yeah.
that just looks terrible. And when she was running
Yeah.
away after they blew up the truck, I was like, run, Virginia, run.
I
I was
mean,
like, you can do
when
it.
she was climbing the mountain, there was a point there because I was like kind of watching it off to the side, and there was a point there whenever like there was like a crack or something, and then I heard her scream, and I was like, oh no, you know, and it was like because I hadn't been like fully watching it,
Right.
I was like kind of had it off to the side, and I was like, oh my God, what if that leg broke? And then she just had the one. How was she ever gonna get? I mean,
No. Yeah. No, no, it would have been I just can't even imagine. And that she had it named and everything, it just, yeah, blowing up the train, all of that was incredibly tense for me too. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And I think that it definitely showed how, like, kind of regular people could go in and do something really, really interesting as well. And I mean, like, these weren't people who ever like were born thinking I'm going to be a spy. Also, I feel like this in movies when you see spies, they are all very debonair and sexy, right? I mean, I think about like we think James Bond or what is that movie that just came out? I feel like my niece just saw it and it has like Dua Lipa in it or something. I don't know. And all
yeah,
and, like
yeah,
Bryce Howard is like writing it. It's all like this spy stuff. And
yeah,
they're
yeah.
all very, very
Trying to think of
sexy.
what it is. It's like the king. No, it's not the Kingsman, but it's like the something
But
men,
there you
right?
go,
Yeah.
the Kingsmen. They're all very sexy
Yeah.
people. And I just like that this showed, I mean, not to say that these people weren't sexy, because I'm sure that they were, but you know what I mean? They were like regular people who wanted to just go and make a difference and do something and are put in these intense situations. And yeah, I love that the prosthetic leg is on a medal too. And I think that it just kind of showed, and it made me wonder myself then, and this is maybe something I'd like to ask you all, would you do something like this if given the opportunity? Is this something that like you would be interested in doing?
Are you is this to
Yes, to the whole group,
okay, all
to our
right,
wonderful
because
audience here.
I'm
No,
gonna be
you
hard
too.
no. I'm gonna be hard pass on this one.
But I'm wondering if anybody in the room here would be like, yeah, I would do something like this. Because it made me wonder, if given the opportunity, would I, and I mean, maybe like a younger me, but I think like you have to be just like a certain personality that all these things kind of fit together, like intelligent and quick on your feet and all these things. I'm like, I don't think I would ever, yeah, like not lose your nerve and like keep cool. I mean, when that train pulled over and Noor had the wireless, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'd be like having a stroke,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't, yeah, I don't know if I have it in me, but it made me wonder like how, like what kind of personality traits does somebody have that they like wanted to do this or got into this? Yeah, I like how everyone in here is like, not for me.
Like
That's good. Yeah, I agree. I think I was wondering too at the training and everything, how they don't like crack under that pressure. And like, I'm very impressed with it all though.
I do think though that Noor, I mean, look, she wasn't doing herself any favors there, right? Because every time there was a policeman around, she was like, and she kept like looking at the case that had the wireless in it, and it's like, stop drawing their attention to it, man. I mean, like look somewhere else, or whatever. But I do think that maybe she was cracking under the pressure a little bit in that way. Like she was so brave and so wonderful, but like just her level of anxiety when when every time a Nazi was near her. And look, I get it. It had to have been nerve-wracking, but that was you gotta learn to mask that stuff, and have a little bit more casual facial expressions, because she certainly, like, if I would have looked at someone who was furtively looking at some suitcase, I've been like, what's in there? Let's see
Yeah.
what's in there, you know? But
Right. No, me too.
but I don't know, maybe it's because I guess it depends when you grow up and what kind of a thing you have. You never want to show weakness or whatever. Like
Right.
if you grow up in a loving pacifist family like Nor,
Right.
you don't learn that you can never show weakness, or else your brothers will yeah.
Tell us
So
more, Karen.
no, 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 we're not gonna.
So I'm posting in the chat, there is a novel out about Virginia Halls, if anybody is interested in novels, but there's also books that are about just women in World War II that I really enjoyed myself. And the Code Breaker, or Code Girls is what it's called. It is Code Girls. I'm gonna put that in. This is a real, this is a history book, and it is about American women who, and many of them are plucked right out of college. They were in math departments and different kind of skills like that, and they were literally like recruited right out of there. And for a long time, they didn't tell anybody. Oh, women of no importance. That looks good. So here I'm posting right there. The Code Girls. I think it's. Did I post it? It's hard. Okay, yes. So it's in there. And it's basically just like, again, these women with certain kinds of talent were able to then put be taken in. And for a while they did not tell, because they all took these oaths saying they would not talk about what they were doing. And it wasn't until years and years later, like grandkids, like, what'd you do in World War II? And they're like, yeah, we can't talk about it. And then finally someone's like, no, it's okay now. Like, you can talk about what you did in World War II. And he's like, it's okay. And so they started telling, and like they started telling their grandkids and different people, like, yeah, I was code breaking. I helped with like Battle of Midway. And kids are like, what? And they like found out, like, yeah, grandma's like a fucking hero. So I don't know. I really
Grandma's
like that.
badass, man.
Yeah, and I just think it's interesting that they didn't basically they didn't really you broadcast out what they were
Uh-huh.
doing. And it kind of makes you then wonder how many other people have these like really interesting stories that maybe are just like kind of covered up and we don't really know about, and it's not going to come out more until later.
Yeah. Yeah. Till, they die and the historians, you know, rifle through all their belongings.
Yeah. Yes. So, but I really liked Code Girls, like myself. I thought that was
Mhm.
interesting. I'm not in any way a World War II historian and stuff. So any kind of like, even these were like popular books about World War II, I always enjoy them, and I learned more about that. Yes, thank you, Karen, for posting and about the Google site. So let's chat a little bit about events to come.
Okay. All right. Well, I could tell you from the Northeast campus perspective, what we have coming up is in 2 weeks, we will have another one of these that's talking about the movie Charlotte Gray. And Charlotte Gray stars a well-known actress named Kate Blanchett, um, who stars as an English woman who has a boyfriend, a fiance, I believe it is, who is shot down in France, and then she joins the French Resistance to try to find and rescue him. So that should be a very interesting movie. Then we have on the 28th of March, we have, which is a Thursday at 12:30 p.m., we're having a live event in Center Corner where we will have a speaker, Dr. Vuick, from TCU, who's a military historian, and she's going to talk to us about women on the home front during World War II. And so that should be excellent. It's called Good Girls Go to War. And it's talking about the entertaining of the American military during World War II. So that should be really exciting. So we're looking very much forward to that.
And send me the
Later,
flyer. I'll post it on here too.
yes, I do have a flyer for that. Also, another flyer that I need to give to you It's good that we have these conversations once in a while, so I remember to do things. On April 11th, we are going to have a division event, a division-wide event, and that is talking about the 25th anniversary of the Columbine shooting. And we are
What
going
day was
to
that
have
again? April.
April 11th. Yeah. And so we will be talking about that from many different angles. We will have a, um, a historian. It will be me. Just um, spoiler alert, it's going to be me, who will talk about the historical angle. We will also have, here's the flyer for that. And we will have a person from the government department talking about, government reaction or lack thereof. Um, and we have psychology department talking about the psychological effects of school shootings. And then we'll have someone from the early childhood education talking about how that has been affected by school shootings. So it should be a very interesting a panel discussion. I encourage you all to attend that. I just put the flyer in the discussion in the chat there. Yeah, that's on the 11th. So we're looking forward to that. And then later in April, we will have Charlotte DeCoster from the Holocaust Museum. I don't have a flyer for that yet. I have to
I was gonna say,
ask
I
her.
don't have that.
I have to ask her about the title of her talk. But while we were on the subject of the Holocaust Museum, I do want to say to you guys, because we are about to, start spring break here. And during spring break, the Holocaust Museum in Dallas is having a spring break event where they will have survivors talking at lunchtime every single day during the week. So Monday through Friday, they will have a survivor coming to talk um, to you. So it's available at the museum, I think at 1 p.m. and they're also streaming it at the same time. And they are Kindertransport survivors, 5 of them, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, different one. And they would like for you to register ahead of time if you plan on even joining virtually. So you can go to the website there, which is DHR, no, hang on, let me write it down. I will type it in here. DHRRM.org. That's the Dallas Holocaust. Nope, that's not it. Never mind. Erase that. No. Get rid of that. It's the Dallas Holocaust and Human Rights. So there's 2 H's and only 1 R, right? DHHRM.org. There you go. So there you get that for you. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Yeah. I recommend it. It's free. They do want you to register. It says buy a ticket, but the tickets cost 0. So don't let that scare you away. And guys, we are in 2023. We are every year losing.
No, we are in 2024 now, Karen.
2024. See, okay, we are in 2024, but it's 80 years after the end of World War II here, almost 79, right? And so every year there are fewer and fewer Holocaust survivors that are alive who can give their testimony to you. So I would recommend to any and all students that any opportunity you have to listen to these folks talk, I would take it. because this resource of being able to see them and talk to them is disappearing every year. So that is something that they're doing. And I highly recommend that over spring break. If you're just sitting at home doing nothing, sign on at 1 p.m. and listen to this. It's life-changing to listen to these survivors. So
Yes, and especially if they're also streaming, that's a great way to be able to see it if you're at home or doing something like that. And I wanted to point out one Women's History Month thing that we have. It's on the same day as yours, March 28. We are hosting a professor from the University of Texas at Dallas, Dr. Whitney Stewart, who is going to be presenting about her new book. And it's called Rachel's Story, Slavery and Home on a Texas Plantation. It's based on her new book that just came out. So please come and join us at Trinity River campus. Lunch is provided. Join virtually here on the link that is in that Google site as well. So lots of different options this month. So many fascinating events.
Yeah.
And I would like to thank.
Yours will be recorded, and so will ours. So
Yes,
if you miss them on Chloe's Google site, you can also see recorded events. And so
I don't have the one from I was at the Consortium of the Revolutionary Era, so I missed the last one. We'll get it up soon though.
Yeah, I will get those to you. Yeah. Hey.
It happens. Yes, it happens. Yeah.
Right.
And I'd like to thank everyone who came and saw everything for our Away from Home exhibit. Thank you to all the students who came out for that as well. It was such a powerful month of events and programs. And there is a tab for the recordings of that. And I would like to just point out one, if you only have really time for one, I would really recommend to watch the panel Away from Home, Past, Present, and Future, especially Dora Bott Plenty. She is in her 80s and she is a survivor of boarding schools. And like you were just saying about the Holocaust survivors, it was a very much reminiscent to me to hear a survivor talk about these things that happened in their childhood. It was incredibly powerful. People were getting very emotional hearing her talk about it. So if you watch something about the Holocaust and you're wondering about other people giving these kind of testimonies, we have one on here that is recorded that I would direct you to as well. That is incredibly moving to hear her talk about her own experience that she had. And I would say in many ways, you'll find some parallels to the kind of the trauma that happened in someone's childhood. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So, we want to open it up. If any of you have anything else that you would like to talk about, questions, anything we didn't cover, let us know. Any comments, anything like that. We want to open it up to you. You guys are the reason we're here, and we're all like. There's a bit where everyone was panicking about possibly going to war with Hungary and a couple of other countries. I don't remember that in history, but was that a concern at the time? For Britain going to war with Hungary, is that the question?
I think it was because Vera was from Romania and she was afraid if she was from a combatant country, she would be seen as an enemy. So I think again, I noticed that as well. And that's usually something that's not, I would say, highlighted, these kind of like maybe these kind of peripheral locations of World War II. But I think it was because of the character of Vera being from Romania originally. That made her then, instead of just being maybe a neutral country or something, it was suddenly like an enemy country. So her not having citizenship then put her like job in jeopardy, and her that's what I was thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. And as far as I know, the Nazis took over most of Europe, and most of Europe then were lending like soldiers. If you were trying to get along with the Nazis, you were lending soldiers from your army to fight. But I don't believe any of the Allies like declared war individually on any of these extra countries that were taken over by the Nazis. I think the United States and England and I can't tell you about the Soviet Union, but they were just at war with Germany, Italy, Japan, and that these other countries were seen as more, captives of the Nazis who were fighting on behalf of them. But it would, of course, have something to do with her her immigration status, her ability to stay there, if that was, you know, that was her concern. That makes sense. So yeah, that would be,
Yeah.
yes.
That's a good
that would
question,
be,
though.
yeah, it is. It is a very good question. Yeah.
Yes. Well, if you did not see the movie yet, I hope you want to go to now. I hope we didn't spoil it too much for you and you're able to go and get something out of it. But I'm definitely sharing this movie with a lot of people, hopefully. And I want to look and see if it is on any streaming services. Because I mean, I watched it through the library and now I want to know if it's.
I don't think so. I will look on my handy dandy Just Watch app because you know, I love that so much.
That sounds good. Okay, so it seems that if you have Amazon Premium subscription, whatever that is, or you can buy it, you can buy it. Oh, Just Watch.
AMC.
Okay.
AMC Plus. It is streaming. IFC, the International Film Collective, it unlimited. It is streaming there too. So AMC Plus, which you can get as a subscription with Prime Video for like
Yes.
$3.99 extra a month or something.
Or like someone said, bringing up the movie on your laptop, streaming it using, yes, I love that idea too. And you know what? I have streamed them from my TV too. You can just open a browser and sign on to the library and watch it on TV too.
Yeah, or Google Cast them onto.
Oh yeah. So there are ways that we can
There
do
are
this.
ways, yeah.
But in case, I always just wanted to share people outside of our TCC network to try to get others to watch it as well. Because I definitely think it's a worthwhile movie for people. And I would love more people to enjoy it and for it to become one of these more staples. But you know, I felt, yeah, now that seeing it was the same person as Iron Shot Angels, it makes me like really happy. That was one of our first movies that we ever discussed.
I mean, that was the first.
Was it the first? Okay.
Yeah.
And it was a couple of years ago, I think.
Yeah, that we did during COVID, man.
Was it? Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and look at our recorded past events and see when that was.
Yeah, because we were all trying to find ways to be together apart, you know?
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that we decided, because we tried a book club and like I think and that was like just with faculty, and I think among faculty only like 3 of us read the book.
We sure did try back then though.
And so then we were like, how about watching a movie? You think everybody could watch a movie?
And people did though. It was and you know what? I think in a few years from now we should do it again. Watch it again, talk about it again.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I'm not seeing it on here though, so I wonder if we recorded it. Maybe we didn't record it back then.
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah,
it might have been before our
no, I think
before we became savvy.
Yes, we were so young then, you know. And speaking of, my Facebook memories told me today that it was 14 years ago today we did that Harry Potter marathon.
Oh my Lord.
I know. And I thought, I was like, oh wow. I had that. Remember we made the pretzels or ones,
and we did the Death Eater.
Yes. And I was like, my goodness, 14 years ago. Wow. Woo. Anyway, so to our guests,
we were infants.
we were very young then, weren't we? Good times though, and I hope everyone has a wonderful spring break ahead.
Yes,
and everyone's safe.
Have some fun, relax a little bit, take your mind off of work, and enjoy yourselves. And we will be back here after spring break. So if you guys don't have anything else you want us to talk about, I think we have reached the end of our tether.
All right. Well, have a good day, everyone. Have a great spring break. Bye for now.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Thank goodness.